All right, today I'm working on Jessica. Big change coming for her. She's got very long hair. We're gonna work into more of a pixie type shape, something that's really short and tight through the underneath with a longer top. So starting with my sectioning, just separated the front from the back, worked a natural side part on the left side, and then created a bit of a heart-shaped section that works from the crown, kind of up and forward, down into the parietal ridge behind the ear. Gonna start with a vertical section to create my guide. So I'm taking a long vertical section and then I'm gonna drop down to the occipital bone and create a smaller vertical section within that to create my guide for the left and the right. So just taking that vertical section from the occipital bone down to the nape and just working a graduated shape. So longer through the top and just gets a bit tighter into the nape area. Gonna flip my fingers, work the opposite side. Sometimes I would work one side all the way through, and then sometimes I like to create a guide for both sides. It just helps me maintain balance on a shorter shape that sometimes is a bit more difficult to work. So I'm gonna stay on the right side because it's my more difficult side. So keeping my fingers pointed down, my angle is the same. It's getting shorter as it works into the nape, longer as it works out to the interior of the haircut. So that vertical section just expands every time. It just moves up the head shape right off that center line. So what it'll actually do is it starts to pivot around the round of the head. Here's a good angle where you can see it's kind of pivoted and turned. Now it's down towards the back of the ear. So really maintaining the length through the top and then kind of getting tighter in through the sides. The over direction here helps also to kind of maintain a little bit of the length. It's going to kind of protect the hole around the ear, just so it doesn't jump up around the hairline. So just pulling everything straight back. So it all comes straight backwards. 1 was the guide, 2 went straight back using 1, 3 went straight back using 2, so on and so forth. The little heart-shaped section, I made that decision based on the natural growth of the hair. Her hairline, or the crown area, kind of grew forward a bit, and so I didn't want to pull some of that hair into the back because the hair is always going to go back to where it wants to naturally fall anyway. So last little bit through the back here, pulling everything straight backwards, maintaining that finger angle. You can see it kind of points down towards the shoulder. And just repeat the process on the opposite side. So the difference here is that my fingers are pointing up. It's a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable to cut this way. But the process is exactly the same. So 3 coming straight back into 2 right here. Getting tighter in towards the nape as I work. And then that section just moving up the head shape, kind of pivoting around. So it becomes vertical in the back, and kind of turns around the curvature of the head and stays vertical the whole time. A vertical section will help in the removal of weight, and since I'm taking off so much hair, it's just a quicker way of kind of removing all of that length. You could achieve the same goal using a horizontal section. I think it would just require me to work a bit more. So last couple sections on that side. So you can see the elevation straight off the round of the head, over direction, straight backwards, finger angle, kind of aiming down towards the floor. My knuckles are pointed in closer than my fingertips are. Really kind of cranking that angle. So as I'm working through the front right side, something different here. Gonna go with a completely disconnected front panel to the back. So kind of a vertical diagonal back section into the front and cutting something that's very flat to the head shape. I wanted it to be really loose and kind of free. Using disconnection where the panels don't connect, the way it's going to help me with that is it's going to allow the hair to kind of have a bit more freedom and a little bit more movement, and just gives it its own kind of personality. So each section just gets pulled straight off the head shape and keeping my fingers flat to the head. So working completely vertical, not getting shorter at the nape or anything like that. It's all the same length. So more of a layer. Straight off the head shape, keeping my fingers vertical, cutting lines following my section angle. So I'm crossing over into the back, so any of that extra length that was kind of left through the front, this is where the connection comes in. But not working all the way. So on the other side, same thing. Only difference is my fingers are pointed down now. It just makes more sense. It's easier for me to work this way. I would have a really difficult time maintaining the same consistency and elevation if my fingers were pointed up. So just pulling straight out from the head, not over directing forward, not angling my fingers, keeping everything really flat. Just a nice layered shape through the front. Keep it really loose, remove some weight. Crossing over into the back now, so some of that excess length from the over direction on the top will get kind of cut away. But it doesn't really move down into the nape too much. So just slight little bit of kind of refinement there. So onto the top, took a section from the crown area all the way into the front hairline, and I'm creating a new guide. So not connected to the back, just creating the length that I want to see on the top. And I'm working slightly longer, so it's a little bit shorter in the nape, or in the crown, excuse me. So it's a little bit shorter in the crown and gets longer as it works towards the front of the head shape. Next section, same thing. So just worked a parallel section all the way to the front hairline, lifting the hair straight up, creating a layer. My finger angle is slightly elevated, so that way just maintain that length through the front. Last section, kind of combing down into the hair on the side, just grabbing, making sure that there's not any extra little hairs that maybe got missed, and bringing that straight up. So same thing on the opposite side. Just taking a parallel section, elevating the hair straight up, cutting a line that goes shorter to longer from the nape to the front hairline. You'll notice I'm kind of pushing the hair more on this side versus pulling it. I just felt that it was important for me to stay kind of in the same body position, so that way I could cut from my fingertips to my knuckles and maintain that length that got longer. It'd be harder to do if I was cutting from the front to the back. So just kind of combing it into place, looking at the overall shape, a little bit of the curl cream, just to kind of unlock a bit of the texture. Again, just kind of combing through, making sure that it's saturated. Diffusing now, after I put the curl cream in. Don't want to create too much movement. So we just diffused it until it was about 90% dry. Now I'm coming in a little bit more of a rough dry. I wasn't really necessarily looking for the hair to be curled, but just dried in the same manner that you would do a curly hair. So a little bit of the vanishing oil just to kind of knock down some of the frizz. And then the finishing texture spray. I really like this for this kind of shape, because it's movable, but it does have a lot of hold to it. So it will allow the hair to kind of stay in one place, but if she gets her hands in it and move it around, it's not going to be stuck. This is kind of the finished look. So as I said, big change for her. Not a lot of refinement done, all done on wet hair. It's just a nice tight shape in through the back, and to the sides very loose and very free and loose through the top as well.